My name is Lisa Marie Collins. I died at 38 on a cold January Tuesday behind some dumpster in Cleveland. It wasn't always like this. I used to have a little apartment over on the west side. I worked as a receptionist for a dentist, Dr. Albright. I had this big fluffy cat named Patches, and my biggest worry back then was paying my car insurance on time, just like everybody else. But then they fell apart. It wasn't one big thing, it was 100 little things. One thing after another, like dominoes, you just can't stop. The last thing I remember was the cold. It was a different kind of cold. A deep cold that went right through my coat, right through my skin, and settled deep into my bones. I had found a little space behind a big green dumpster, hoping it would block the wind. I pulled my knees to my chest, trying to make myself smaller. The sounds of the city were getting quiet. I was so tired. Just so tired. I remember thinking about my mom's Sunday pancakes, the smell of the batter hitting the hot griddle. It was the warmest memory I had, and I just held on to that thought. Then I closed my eyes, and I let go. And then, nothing. The cold was gone. The pain in my stomach from being hungry, the ache in my bones, it was all gone. It didn't hurt anymore. I felt light. I opened my eyes, but it wasn't with my real eyes. It's hard to explain. I was just aware. And I was floating. Gently, like a feather on the air, I looked down, and there she was. There I was. A woman curled up in a dirty coat, her hair all matted with snow. And I didn't feel pity for her. I didn't even feel sad. I just felt separate, like I was watching a movie about someone else's life. All the hurt, all the shame of being on the streets, it was attached to that body, not to me. Not anymore. The gray, dirty brick of the alley started to blur. The sounds of the distant sirens and the rumble of trucks faded away into a soft, peaceful hum. Everything was getting soft. The sharp edges of the world were melting. It was like falling asleep, but you're completely awake. I wasn't scared. For the first time in years, I wasn't scared. I felt safe. And then I felt a warmth. It wasn't like sunshine on your skin. It was a warmth that came from inside. It was a feeling of being known, completely and totally known and loved. It was a love that was also a light. In front of me, the grayness began to brighten. A light started to grow, a beautiful, brilliant light, but it didn't hurt my eyes. It was soft and powerful at the same time, like seeing the sunrise from above the clouds. It was gold and white and colors I'd never seen before, all swirling together. It was alive. And inside the light, I could see a man. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a guess. The moment I saw him, my entire soul knew it was Jesus. I just knew. It was a knowing that was deeper than facts or thoughts. It was like remembering my own name. He was just there. He didn't look like any of the pictures I'd seen in the old church Bibles from when I was a kid. He was taller, his robe was simple, a kind of shimmering, creamy white, like pure light woven into cloth. But his face is what I can't forget. It was strong and gentle, and his eyes, that's what I remember most. His eyes, they weren't just one color, like blue or brown. They were everything. They were filled with a love so powerful, so absolute, it felt like it was the very force holding the whole universe together. And all of that love, all of that power was looking right at me. Me, Lisa, the homeless woman from the alley, the one people looked away from, the one who felt invisible. He didn't say a word at first. He just looked at me. And in his gaze, all the dirt, all the shame, all my failures, all the times I felt worthless, they just melted away. It was like they were lies I had been told, and he was showing me the truth without a single word. Tears filled my eyes, but they weren't sad tears. I started to cry, these deep, body-shaking sobs, but they were tears of relief, tears of being found. It was the feeling of coming home after being lost in a dark forest for a very, very long time. I didn't have to explain myself. I didn't have to list my sins or my mistakes. He already knew all of it, every bit, and he loved me anyway. He loved me because of it. It was like he saw the real me, the person I was created to be, underneath all the layers of pain and fear. Finally, he spoke. His voice wasn't loud, but it filled everything. It wasn't just a sound you hear with your ears, it was a feeling that resonated in my very soul. It was like the most beautiful music and the kindest words all wrapped into one. He said, "Welcome home, my child." And I just broke down. I didn't know what to say. I think I mumbled something like, "I'm so sorry, I messed everything up." He smiled, a gentle, loving smile that made the light around him even brighter. "All is well," he said. "There is no condemnation here, only love." I felt a question form in my mind, not in words, but in a feeling of confusion. The question was, why? Why all the suffering? Why did I have to go through all of that? Why do some people have so much, and people like me have nothing? Why does poverty even exist? I didn't even have to ask it out loud. He knew. He held out his hand, and the space around us changed. It was no longer just the beautiful light. We were standing somewhere else. It was like a vision, but I was in it. He said, "Look, I saw a busy city street. People were rushing around on their phones, carrying shopping bags. And on the corner, there was a man sitting on the ground. He was holding a cardboard sign. He was invisible to everyone walking by. People would look, but they wouldn't see him. They'd look right through him. I knew that feeling so well. It hurt to watch." Then one young woman stopped. She was a college student. I could tell. She had a heavy backpack and looked worried, probably about money or her classes. She stopped, looked in her wallet, and pulled out a few dollars. She knelt down and gave it to the man. But it was what she did next that mattered. She looked him right in the eye. She said, "God bless you. I hope you have a better day." The man looked up, shocked. Tears welled in his eyes. He said, "Thank you. Thank you for seeing me." Jesus turned to me. "Watch now," he said softly. And I saw it. From that one small act, from that moment of connection, a wave of brilliant golden light exploded. It wasn't just a little spark. It was a huge, beautiful wave. It flowed out from that young woman and that homeless man, and it washed over the entire street. It touched the hearts of dozens of other people. I saw a man who was about to be rude to a cashier suddenly soften his tone. I saw a woman decide to call her mother, who she hadn't spoken to in weeks. I saw a businessman who had been touched by this invisible wave of light drop an extra 20 into a donation kettle a block away, without even thinking about it. That one small act of seeing someone, of treating them with dignity, had sent out ripples of grace that were changing hearts all over the city. What you call poverty, Jesus said to me, is on earth a great tragedy. It is the result of broken systems, of fear, of hearts that have closed themselves off from me and from each other. It is not my will, but it is a condition that I allow. I paused. I didn't understand. Allow? Why would you allow so much pain? His gaze was so full of compassion, because it creates the stage for the greatest miracles. Then the vision changed. Now he showed me a huge, beautiful house, a mansion. It was filled with expensive art and furniture, and in a giant office, a man sat at a huge desk. He was surrounded by piles of money and stock market reports on a screen. He had everything, but I could see his soul, and his soul was tiny, shriveled, and gray. It was starving. A dark, heavy energy surrounded him. It was the energy of fear. Fear of losing his money. Fear of not having enough. Even though he had more than thousands of people combined, he was utterly alone. He had security guards and servants, but no one who truly loved him. His heart was a tiny, locked box. This, Lisa, Jesus said, his voice filled with a deep sadness, is the real poverty. This is spiritual starvation. The man on the street you saw, the one who received that small kindness, his heart was broken open. He was ready to receive love. His soul was poor in spirit, and so the kingdom of heaven was open to him. This man, he said, pointing to the man in the mansion, has built a fortress around his heart. He is the one who is truly destitute. He is the one who is truly homeless, for he has no home in the heart of God. Tears streamed down my face as I understood. We have it all backward. We measure wealth in dollars and possessions, but God measures it in love. So the poverty, I said, my voice barely a whisper. It's a chance? It is a question, he replied. A question I ask to every soul. To the one who has much, the question is, will you be my hands? Will you share what I have given you? Will you see your brother and sister who are in need? Their answer determines the state of their soul. And to the one who has nothing, he continued, turning his loving gaze back to me, the question is different. The question is, will you trust me? Will you hold on to hope when all is dark? Will you find your treasure not in the things of the world, but in the strength of your spirit? The fire of hardship is a refiner's fire. It can burn away pride and ego and reliance on the self. It can make a soul so beautiful, so strong, so pure. He showed me myself in the alley. He showed me the nights I prayed, not for money, but just for the strength to make it one more day. He showed me the time I shared half of a sandwich someone had given me with another homeless man who was sicker than I was. I saw that little act, which I had forgotten, erupt in the spiritual realm like a supernova of light. It was a treasure, a real, eternal treasure that I had stored in heaven. You felt unseen on earth, my child, Jesus said, his voice wrapping around me like a warm blanket. But you were never, not for 1 second, unseen by me. Every cold night, every hungry day, every tear you cried was a prayer that reached my throne. And the love you held in your heart despite everything, the love that made you share that small piece of bread, that love is a jewel in your crown. You thought you were poor, Lisa, but you are one of the richest souls I know. I felt a love so complete, so perfect, that I knew I never wanted to leave. This was reality. This was home. The world I had left behind was the dream, the shadow. I want to stay, I whispered. Please, I can't go back there. It's too hard. He looked at me, and though his smile was still there, his eyes held a deep tenderness, a shared sadness. Your story is not finished, Lisa, he said gently. The pain you knew, it is no longer your shame. It is now your strength. You have seen the truth of things. You have seen what really matters. Suddenly, I felt a huge jolt, a violent, shocking jolt, like being hit by lightning. A burning pain shot through my chest. My whole body arched up, and I took a massive, gasping breath. My lungs burned, filled with freezing cold air. My eyes flew open. I wasn't in the light anymore. I wasn't in the alley. I was on a gurney, and blindingly bright lights were pointed down at me. The beeping was loud, coming from a machine next to me. People in blue scrubs were all around me, moving fast, shouting things I didn't understand. A paramedic, a young guy with kind eyes, was looking right down at me. His name tag said Josh. His eyes were wide with disbelief. He shouted to someone over his shoulder, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we got a pulse. We got her back. I don't believe it. We got her back." I tried to talk, but only a croak came out. Where am I? Josh leaned in closer. You're okay, ma'am. You're in an ambulance. We found you. You're gonna be okay. I was so confused. The pain in my chest was awful. The cold was seeping back in, but underneath it all, I could still feel the echo of that peace, the memory of his eyes. They told me later, at the hospital, what had happened. The police had been called about someone sleeping behind the restaurant, and the officer who found me couldn't find a pulse. The paramedics worked on me, but my core body temperature was dangerously low. They said I had been clinically dead, no heartbeat, no breathing for at least 12 minutes, maybe longer. They were about to call it to declare me gone. The doctor who took over my case, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Dr. Evans, kept coming into my room and just staring at me. She would check my chart, check my vitals, and just shake her head. One day, she sat on the edge of my bed. She said, "Lisa, I've been a doctor for 20 years. In these conditions, with that level of hypothermia, coming back after that long, it's not medically possible. I can't explain it." I just looked at her, and for the first time, I smiled a real smile. "I can," I said. So here I am. It took a long time to heal. My body was broken in a lot of ways. But I'm not the same person who lay down to die in that alley. I came back with a message that was given to me in the most beautiful place by the most beautiful being. And the message is simple. The next time you walk down the street and you see someone on the corner with a sign, someone people are ignoring and looking through, I want you to remember my story. They are not invisible. They are not forgotten. God sees them. And in that moment, He is asking you a question. He is asking, will you be my hands today? Will you be my heart? You don't have to solve the whole world's problems. You don't have to give away all your money. He just wants you to see them, to look them in the eye and show them a moment of dignity, a kind word, a small gesture. You have no idea the tidal wave of light that you can unleash with that one simple act. The poverty that we see with our eyes, the lack of food or shelter, it is a terrible thing. But it isn't the real story. The real poverty, the one that breaks God's heart, is a heart that has no room for anyone else. It's a soul that has locked itself in a prison of fear and selfishness. Don't be that person. Please. He asked me to come back and tell you that love is the only thing that's real. It's the only thing we get to take with us. It's the only thing that lasts. So I guess I have one last question for you. He asked me to tell you that love is the only currency that matters in heaven. How rich are you?